potentially there's some coaches watching that do aspire to kind of be one day, an academy manager or equivalent. Nowadays, there's a lot of different things that were potentially not around when you were doing the role, or at least at the start, in terms of different software. Analysis is obviously a lot more prevalent in the game, and things like, access to stats when it comes to recruitment. So how would you how do you describe the changes over the years, and what have you kind of noticed, and just maybe advice for, coaches, as I say, that maybe are looking to do a similar role?
Well, I think not just with respect to coaches, Chris. I think if people are ambitious and motivated and wish to move through maybe roles and layers and job opportunities at clubs, you've got to be a digital native now.
Yeah.
The game is driven by data, and I say that as a positive, not a negative. And again, if you look in the majority of the major owners or stakeholders of the clubs that you might be aspiring to work for, they come very much from a factual based accountability perspective from maybe their own successful businesses. So the ability to use software, the ability to, you know, cross over and communicate and portray what you're trying to achieve visually and using statistics and data in terms of modeling algorithms, etc. now is absolutely critical. Don't get me wrong. I think at the end of the day, if you're a coach, you still need to be able to do what you do on the grass and have the respect of the young players.
Yeah.
But you're also going to have to be able to communicate with people in suits, and you're also going to have to be able to visualize and communicate digitally in terms of to get your message across.
Yeah, sure. So just going back to the time you were at Villa then, Sean, what can you name some players that kind of came through a very young age? I've got down Jack Grealish. I presume he was kind of all the way through at the academy. When was that? Would you have had anything to do with Jack?
Well, I was very fortunate that, when I first arrived there, the likes of Gary Cahill
Yeah.
were sort of 19, 20,
Mm.
about to move on in their development. In Gary's case, to go to Bolton.
Yeah.
Even Gary Barry in terms of the first team, still having come from Brighton. Now, I had absolutely nothing to do with those players,
Mm.
but it was fabulous watching them up close at such a young age. Now, the likes of Jack and various people, again, throughout my time at the academy, no way would I say I ever found Jack Grealish or developed him,
Yeah.
but I certainly played a part in different aspects of his development at different times. And he would say that himself. But for the record, Chris, as you know, and this is the key point for anybody that's listening, there are probably 50, 60 people within each of those environments, quite rightly, that can say,
Yeah.
along with Sean Kimberley, I played a role in Jacob Ramsey's development.
Mm.
I played a role in Cameron Archer, who scored twice last night for Middlesbrough in
Yeah.
that game at Bramall Lane. I
Yeah.
was smiling when I saw Jack score down at Arsenal, but
Yeah.
no way would I sit here and say, oh, it was X, Y, Z. Yes, I had parts to play, and depending on the role, if you were head of recruitment, it was a different role that you played to if you were fortunate to be academy manager.
Yeah.
But like I say, there would be landladies, there would be transport drivers, there
Mm.
would be an army of coaches, physio, sports scientists that equally had just a valid role to play, as there is at every club. I would imagine if you spoke to Tottenham and asked them about Harry Kane
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Liverpool and Steven Gerrard, there would be the same thread running through the conversations.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So having done both, obviously the coaching and the recruitment side, Sean, I mean, what personally for you, which do you kind of prefer? Do you prefer being out on the field coaching, or do you prefer the recruitment side of things?
If the younger me could have seen itself now, it would laugh because I would say I do enjoy the recruitment more.
Yeah.
I think there's no greater buzz. I was very lucky when I was at Blackburn to be able to work with the likes of John Walters and Phil Jones as young players. So again, I had reference points. I
Yeah.
was very fortunate, like I say, to go and watch lots of good young players when I was trying to recruit players for Aston Villa. And I'm very fortunate now to do that for Glasgow Celtic.
Mm.
So I enjoy the recruitment. I enjoy the intrigue of it. I enjoy the data, the sourcing, the background checking. I love my coaching, but again, I always remember the mentor saying to me, I'm now in my mid 50s. It's difficult probably to be a coach in your mid 50s and 60s. So
Yeah.
you have to, I wouldn't say be ahead of the game, but Graham Taylor always used to say, God bless him, the only constant is change.
Mm.
And again, if there was a message to take away for people watching this, you have to keep evolving. So, I didn't know much about pitch control. I understand it a lot better now. I'm
Yeah.
no expert.
Mm.
I can explain expected goals if I wanted to send somebody to sleep. But what I'm saying is you have to evolve and move with the times. You
Yeah.
have to be able to video scout whether there's a pandemic or not.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to still be able to stand on the side of the pitch and communicate with people.
Yeah.
You still have to build relationships. So the only constant is change. But I do think the influx of data and the algorithms and the metrics that come with it now, and data scientists populating the bigger clubs, you have to be able to move with the times and be flexible.